Okay.
Oh, okay. Never mind.
Because I really don't get these people at all.
Mm-hmm.
And being since you're in the realm of the feelings,
I'm in the realm
also
of the
that
fairy.
second, also that second beast of
Oh, here we go.
Revelations.
Fuck, here we go. Yeah.
Uh, Explain to me from a crazy bitch's perspective why they think it's appropriate to attack little old ladies on the internet that actually did their life right. Like,
Oh, straight away. Um, they don't see them as little old ladies, and you say, why do they think it's appropriate?
yeah.
Uh, they think, depending on who's in their network, the little old lady is probably like the most suitable target for the needs. So first of all, you got to work out what are the needs.
Mm.
What is the motivation? And loosely speaking, you'd be like, right, someone needs to feel better. They need someone to beat up. The bully needs to bully someone. Okay, who do they have, air quote, like parentheses, like available that they can bully? Who can they pick on? Right, and they scan, look around, and they go, right, there we go. We got an elderly woman. Maybe
Mhm.
the elderly woman is because she's old, maybe she's a bit isolated. No one's going to come to rescue her or whatever. There might be some
Or
other
come in
sort
her
of
defense.
right. So
Hmm.
easy target. So they usually go for the easy target.
Yeah.
Um, no, that doesn't mean that everyone else is off the hook, or being worked on. But you're saying why does the crazy bitch feel it's appropriate
Yeah.
for those sort of reasons, because this is the best bang for buck, and it's not about the feelings of the target. This is well, not indulgence, but this is self-serving. So needs need to be met. Um, it's quick, it's impulsive. You cross entitlements. You can cross the boundaries. They throw out jabs. They see if the other person will. Excuse me, just finishing up my burgers. Sorry. Um, they'll see if the other person is prone to being attacked in such a way where they take the bait, um, and terrorize an elderly lady who probably wouldn't be expecting it at her age in her life to have to be dealing with this sort of stuff.
Right.
So that's kind of like that's like sucker punching someone, catching them a bit unawares. So in terms of like strategic assault, it would appear as like a easy victory
Hmm.
at the expense of the other person. But you have to remember, this isn't you're not they're not thinking of the other person like with any compassion or like I wonder how they're gonna feel. This is about the bully making themselves feel better. The bully, I say bully like crazy bitch, whatever, the narcissist, the whatever, right? The
Mhm.
abuser. They, generally speaking, again, as a loose model for us to work with and wrap our heads around, they are unable to take care of their own needs. They can't validate, they can't self-soothe. Um, they're a bit incompetent with life skills and life experience. They don't want to self-reflect and think about making good decisions and whatnot. So it's all it's all outsourced.
Hmm.
So they're dependents in that sense. They need someone else to rescue them. So the assault, the attacking, isn't really to it is to destroy them, but it's in the vein of trying to fix the problems, the struggles that the abuser is going through because they can't do it themselves. They need someone to do it for them. So this is about trying to in a way, be rescued. They're trying to seek help. That's why when you hear, sometimes you might hear people say, hey, when someone's raging at you, it's like a cry for help, or it's like a plea because they want you to to help them or save them from themselves.
Yes.
So there's a lot of that going on. So you've got the abuser, bully, narcissist, crazy bitch. They can't fix themselves. They need to outsource it. So they lash out. To you and everyone else. It appears like an attack, and it is an attack. But in the mind,
she called her. She pretty much called her dumb, called her brainwashed.
right? But in
Said,
the mind,
no, you're not. You're political.
it doesn't really
The person
matter.
you support is not the ordained one. Biden is like, and now that
Yeah,
Biden's gone, she's praising Kamala Harris, which is
but
where.
don't be lost in the details, because then you're attaching. Then you're sort of you're getting caught up in the game in a way, because if you're paying attention to the details and wanted to scrutinize, now you're overlooking the functionality of why it's being said. It's not the details that matters. It's the trying to penetrate and get you on the hook. So if I have to insult your mother, I'm going to insult your mother. If I have to insult your looks, I'll insult your. It's like whatever it takes, a means to an end. If it's your political preferences, then fine, I'll attack that. If it's your choice of music, fine, I'll attack that. The abuser doesn't really give a damn what your personal beliefs are, because one, that would imply or infer that they consider you as a person. So from the abusive or from the parasite's point of view, you're not a person. It doesn't matter what interests and like stuff is that matters to you. What matters is that you're there to be in servitude. They need you to output and take care of their needs. So whatever it takes to get you to bite the hook and pull you into the game. If you want to be focused on the insults and they called me a B and they called me a D and they called me a whatever, that's great, because now you're not really seeing what's being what is actually taking place. They've got you distracted in a way, because you're like, why did they insult my dog for? What was that all about? It's like, good.
Right.
Now you're not seeing that you're actually being corralled. Like another layer of a game is being played that you're not aware of. So
hold on, before you continue, Rusty said hi. Hello, Rusty.
yo, Rusty,
Hello,
Ian,
Blades. Good to see you. JR, glad you're here.
whoever else is watching.
Yeah. Hello, everybody.
And this is what trips a lot of people up, because we try to apply our perspective to the situation. And it's not a fault of anyone for doing that, because you need a point of reference. So you say to yourself, I can't imagine why an abusive person would be like that. I wouldn't do that. And that's the problem. That's why it's hard for you to see things from the abusive person's point of view. It's almost like they're an alien or something. Like they don't obey the laws of reality. And that's the kicker, because they're not. That is the problem that most people have. And your stream about why people can't see what was the title of the stream? Like the last one you did with RJ Regan. Why is it the infection? People can't see about the infection, or why is it people can't understand the infection? It's because you're trying to apply logic. So you've kind of you're never going to be able to understand it if you're applying logic. This is the joke. This is the joke of fantasy, which is, in a way, you have to be crazy to understand how the crazy machine works. But then by definition, you are crazy. So if all of this starts to make sense to you, that means you've departed reality to some extent.
Great.
right?
Well,
So
I guess that makes me feel better because I'm like, I don't fucking get these crazy bitches at all.
that's
Like,
the joke. That's the cosmic joke. You're not supposed to understand it.
mm,
It's a oxymoron, or it's a paradox. It's a contradiction. People can see contradictions take place, but they don't understand. You are trying to control that which is uncontrollable. You are trying to predict that which is unpredictable. You are trying to understand that which is ununderstandable. You see where I'm going with this?
mm-hmm.
This organism,
I mean, they're kind of predictable, Billy.
not quite. You
You don't think so?
well, we see patterns, but you cannot say with pinpoint accuracy what is exactly going to happen. You can have a pretty good guess, but that again is it's a consequence of the game of illusions that is being played. We like to believe through our own egotism that we've got them figured out, but you can't, because especially if you're dealing with narcissism, the whole point of narcissism is to escape. So as soon as you put it's like quantum science, quantum physics,
Mm-hmm.
or Schrodinger's cat. Like as soon as you think, aha, I got you, poof, they vanish, they reappear somewhere else.
Well, online. In real life, they can't fucking go anywhere. They don't disappear.
But the point being made is, yes, you can have a pretty good idea, and there's been plenty of in one way, the whole reason why there's so much content, like in terms of like narcissistic discussions, why there's so many channels, and for instance, on my own channel, there will never be an end to it because there's no closure. If there is no closure, you cannot have a conclusion. Therefore, you cannot make a prediction. You can't say for certainty what's going to happen, because you are trying to say, I know the outcome, I know the end point, I know the conclusion. You don't know the conclusion. That's the point. So you're, in a way, if you have that kind of mindset of like, I've got them figured out 100%, I know exactly what's going on, you will come up short, because you are somewhat self-deluding, thinking that with a bit of egotism and grandiosity, that you can control that which is uncontrollable. You'll be surprised, and there's also the human element. I know they might not seem like they're humans, but they are human. So you might think, okay, I know this person's going to resurface. I know they're gonna throw ad hominem attacks. Before you know, they might have suddenly got ill. Now they're in hospital. Now they're not on the internet. Right? Life, circumstances comes along and throws a spanner in the work. So you don't necessarily. What you can know for certain, in a way, is it's what's that joke? Like, my wife is so she's so inconsistent. She's consistently inconsistent. So that's what you can kind of guarantee. That's what you know, is that these people are consistently inconsistent. They're not reliable. If they're not reliable, they can't be predictable. They could spaz out at any moment. You wouldn't really, I didn't see that one coming. Or maybe you had some idea that they'll spaz out, but you didn't realize that they'll actually like punch a hole in the wall or something. Or they I don't know, go berserk or whatever. So and that is also another point of, you have to be careful here, because if you want to be a healthy person, you need to remind yourself continuously that you only really need to know enough to get by. if you're going above and beyond wanting to, in a way, do our dissections in minute detail, that's more than you need to know, really. That isn't really healthy behavior. That is trying to equip yourself. Life and evolution in society wasn't really designed to need. You shouldn't really need to know this stuff. If you're finding yourself having to know this stuff, that's a problem. That's saying that there is some fuckery going on, and it's important enough because it's impacting my normality, it's impacting reality, it's impacting my sanity. Well, you've got a problem then. You know, you can make an analogy. It's like you're so paranoid that someone's going to attack you, so you start to learn self-defense, kung fu or something, or you buy some guns and you start to fortify your house, and then you're going to turn around to people and say, yeah, this is normal. They're going to look at you and be like, you're a bit on edge, aren't you? You feel a bit insecure or something. You're like, and it's like, just for very good reasons, but you can't say like, yeah, my house is now a fortress with turrets and CCTV, and I've got dogs in the garden, and I've got, you know, a minefield outside. Oh yeah, everything's normal. This is what normal people do. This, do they? So no. So learning all this stuff.
Don't normal people have a compound?
A compound. But you get my point.
Is that just Texas?
So it is kind of, on a societal level, it is concerning because it is
oh great, Johnny's here with some more MBTI lingo. Hello, Johnny. Hello, Free.
Throw some of that into the conversation later on.
I mean, my solution is block the crazy bitch. So that she did. Because that's, I mean, my friend was like, oh my God, what is this? And I tried to engage with her. I asked her some questions and she lashed out at me. And then I asked her a more soul-cutting question. And then she blocked me and kept going after my friend. I was like, just fucking block her. Like,
yeah. There's a couple of different ways with that approach. On the whole, that's basically after learning all this stuff, this is going to be yet another kick to the balls or the cosmic joke, because one day in the future, after I've done billions of streams or whatever, and you know, have videos and written books, at the very end of it all, we'll be like, right, now that you know absolutely all that I can hopefully relay over to you, your next task is to unlearn it all. You know, because the subject of learning about it, in a way, is the sentence, is the prison sentence. You are condemned to forever be tormented with trying to understand this. And that's another reason why you, for the abuser, they kind of keep you on that hook, because there you are trying to figure everything out. So yes, if you can turn around and just be like, look, I don't need to know, just block. That's great.
Yeah.
The trouble is, humans, especially like in the past, probably worked a lot easier, but in more modern times, because of persistence and other people and other predators doing this, you know, the human mind starts to be curious and starts to notice an anomaly, like a pattern. It's like, hang on, I'm having to say F off to a lot more people, and it's beginning to, like, through exposure and proximity, you start to like notice things like body language and mannerisms and tone, and it starts to make you wonder, because the human, like, you make this argument, you know, we need connections, we need society, we need community.
People need people, yes.
Right. So
tribalism is a biological imperative.
So you're trying, so in your biology, you want to be able to understand other people. And then you realize something's not quite clicking here. I have to tell them to F off.
Yes, because it's a predator.
So unless you're a psychopath and you don't really care about other people's feelings, you're going to wonder, what on earth was that all about? This is your empathy now being used against you in a way. It's your empathy encountering a problem which is causing it to feedback. It's not that your empathy is malfunctioning. It's supposed to be trying to connect to people. It's just that the empathy has encountered a sort of unexpected life form and is now working overdrive.
A lesbian feminist cult member.
Right. So
that first beast from the sea.
and
A member of that cult.
Right. And maybe you hear this happening to a friend and your friend is like, I'm struggling. So you're trying to give them advice and console them. And but you can see how we end up opening the Pandora's box of wanting an explanation. And if you haven't kind of figured it out by now, the reason why I have such, I like to think, or maybe some other people would say I do, depth in understanding all of this is because I'm very curious. I'm very perplexed. It doesn't make sense to me. So I'm kind of in the...
Wait, hold on. I thought you were going to explain it to me because it doesn't make sense to me.
Yes. I'm saving you the...
I mean,
I'm trying
I know fundamentally what's going on with these crazy bitches.
Oh, they don't need me
I just wanted to hear your psychological take on it.
Well,
I mean, these are resentful women that are literally feminist cult members, and they want to attack everything that they wasted their life not obtaining.
It's not as simple as, I just want to go attack things. No, this is these are people who are hurting, and I don't mean it's like, everyone feels
self-inflicted.
Self-inflicted. Yes, it does become self-inflicted, but like they're not just like, we're out to conquer the world and take over and all this. It's not. There's a deeper reason, motivation behind that. That is to feel to feel secure, to feel safe.
Well, she's never gonna feel safe and secure. She's alone.
And because she doesn't ever feel safe and secure, who are you talking about? Are you talking about the elderly lady, or are you talking about the crazy bitches?
The crazy bitch that's attacking my elderly lady friend.
Right. Yeah. So the crazy bitch never feels secure.
No, and she never will.
Right, and so she will always try to conquer the universe. Even if she defeats the elderly lady, the fact that there is a reality out there in of itself is a danger. This is why they escape into fantasy where it's safe. But fantasy can't support their delusion. So try as they might to push reality at bay, the threat of it is omnipresent. So they will always try to dismantle reality. But it's not because I just feel like dismantling reality because I'm bored. It's because they feel so insecure and threatened by it. This is self-preservation. This is why narcissism is described as a survival defense mechanism. This is self-preservation. This is, I'm going to attack you because your mere presence already makes me feel insecure and on edge. Like, I can't trust my environment. I can't trust the people around me. I don't know when you're going to backstab me or something like this. So I'm going to go on the offensive out of self-protection. And that's why they don't, in some ways, don't feel responsible or guilt or in the wrong in any way. They feel like what they're doing is right because what they're doing is attending. We talk about everyone needs to self-love and feel good about yourself. Well, the abuser and the narcissist is doing exactly that. From their perspective, they're not the problem. You're the problem.
Right? That's what they think.
That's what they believe. That's the thing. Because it comes down to the needs. They need to feel they feel like they're useless and inferior, and they've got deep shame. So they're in pain. They feel unsafe. There's danger all around them. They can't. So they're survivalistic. When you're survivalistic, you can't afford to be thinking about the boohoos of other people. You have to annihilate them. So, in that kind of twisted logic, what they're doing actually makes sense. They're just trying to survive at the behest of destroying everyone around them. Does that make sense?
I mean,
The trouble is, you're trying to apply your morals to it.
yeah, maybe.
You're saying that's wrong.
Okay, so
right?
Johnny called me something the other day. What was it? Ataraxic? He thinks I'm ataraxic. He's pinpointed my personality disorder or my brain disorder.
Was anorexic. Sounds like
It sounds like an
that's
eating disorder, doesn't it?
arachnophobic. What's
Mm.
anorexic? Johnny, could you define it, clarify it for me, please?
Ataraxia. That's what Johnny's diagnosed my brain with.
More things for me to look up. Jeez, thanks.
Mm-hmm.
But so, are you beginning to understand this twisted landscape I'm describing? How
No. I mean, I get their delusion. Okay, I get it, but
you still expect them to live in your world,
I expect them to be held accountable for their actions.
right? So you
And
expect
for
them
people
be
to stop being so fucking nice to these people.
right,
Because they're
so
literally predators preying on people because they're nice to
yeah,
them.
yeah. So you're applying the laws and physics of reality to the situation. That's not going to work here. You're just going to end up frustrating yourself over it. Accountability
Mm-hmm.
is part of reality,
Mm-hmm.
right? Truth
Mm-hmm.
is part of reality. The sense of self is part of reality. But in the realm of delusion and fantasy, they don't exist. Your morals, as much as people talk about morals, ethics, principles, and values, well, the key there is the word values, is that they're all subjective.
Wow.
Morals could be suspended. We can all say, like, stealing is wrong, but then is it wrong someone starving who stole a loaf of bread? You know, so we can always fudge our morals, and our ethics are based on the size of our tribes.
Well,
Small,
I don't
small,
appreciate
small
that
tribes.
crazy bitch trying to enter my tribe. And being since I man the wall.
But from the crazy bitches inside her cranium, it doesn't occur to her that she needs to be considerate of your point of view or what you. In a way, you're kind of committing the same error as the crazy bitches because you're not wanting to see it from their point of view just as much as they don't want to see it from your point of view.
Yeah, they can't. They're unable. Why should I even
Well,
bother?
right. So they yeah, because if they were to accommodate reality, that triggers injury and is a problem. So they are, as a result, narrow-minded. They haven't got the perspective. They haven't got the self-awareness, and they are, in a way, oblivious to what they're doing. They're very virus-like. You know, they don't they lack a conscious. They're so preoccupied with survival, they haven't got the luxury to relax and develop a sense that they can't ruminate properly and self-reflect and grow a personality. They're just an organism trying to survive, and this is how they're doing it. So they're not thinking about they don't care about your point of view. They don't see when you say like I want them to be accountable for things and I want them to be what else did you say like that there's justice and I want them to reality. All of this is irrelevant from them. As much as you think they're crazy, they probably think you're crazy for talking about. or if not crazy, they're probably thinking along the lines of like, okay, Amanda, like if you want to have morals and rules, okay, you have that. That doesn't apply to me.
Oh no, it
That,
doesn't. This
that
radical lesbian that apparently thinks Kamala Harris is hot wasted her fucking life. Even though she claims she lives by the true word of God. That's why I asked her. I was like, well, if that's true, where's your husband and children?
the
And
true
then
word.
she blocked me.
She is God. So
I
when
know
she says the true
she's
word of
trying to play God with my friends. Like,
right, because when you're the only one in the entire universe and you
mm,
create the like psychological landscape, in a way you are God.
yeah.
You don't get to choose who you're going to be, or the elderly friend of yours doesn't get to choose, has any autonomy. What has been decided from the crazy bitch is I'm going to pick on this person. They're going to be my punch bag. They're not going to get
Mm,
any say in this. So
mm-hmm,
I've allocated them a role. I have created their destiny in a way.
mm-hmm.
This other person's going to be my friend because I ordained it so. This other person's going to be my intimate partner. This other person's going to be my whoever. This other person's going to be my errand boy. Because there's only one person in the world of the narcissist, and that's the narcissist. They are God.
Mm, mm.
They get to choose. And if you don't obey, then you are discarded. Out of sight, out of mind. You don't exist. It's like you guys, most of you guys are in America, right? It's like thinking about what's the opposite country on the globe would be? Was that China or something? It's like you're not like they don't exist. The name, geographically the coordinates and whatever, but
Mm-hmm.
they're not part of your life. You have no idea. You don't see any of them in person. You have no idea. You just know of them. It's like that. If you're kicked out of the bubble, if you're kicked out of the sphere, then you simply don't exist. You're like an insect.
Yeah.
You're a moth. Okay, you're a nothing. Inconsequential.
Johnny said ataraxia need not be neurological. One can obtain it with training. See? Johnny said, I think Mandy is in the right here because the crazy bitch posted something hostile to her friend first. This triggered a defensive behavior by Mandy. Yes, I feel a duty to my group for sure. If one of my tribe members is like, is this your lane? And I'm like, oh yes, this is my lane. She's like, okay, you take care of it.
Oh yeah, I mean, I'm not saying that these crazy bitches are like just be blasé and let them trample all over you.
Yeah, no.
So to some, this is bits of discernment and appropriate levels of responding and reacting and things like that. So yes, you got your own defenses and levels of disgust and things like that that'll be triggered.
Yeah.
That'll make you want to talk about it. Where it's probably best approached is you consoling your elderly friend and talking about it rather than sort of like, fuck this crazy bitch, I'm gonna take her out tonight.
I
You
just
know?
I just asked her some questions which made her spurg and block me. So then I told my friend to just unfriend and block her because she's only there to predate upon her.
You want to keep interactions to a minimum where possible. So even if you stick up for a friend,
Mm-hmm.
now you appear on the radar.
Mm-hmm. Which is
So
fun.
whether or not,
Hello, crazy bitch. I'll talk to you. Oh, you don't want
yeah,
to talk to me? You're gonna keep attacking a poor old woman? Like, fuck you.
no, might not necessarily be an act of cowardice. even though it probably is. But
It is.
it's part of the game, because now you're like watching, going, oh, now you're reporting back saying, oh, she blocked me.
Mm.
So that's a power. You think you got the upper hand, you won the encounter. No, she won the encounter because she denied you, she blocked you, she exerted control over the situation.
Yes,
You were
and
talking
then
to the wind.
she completely pushed out as a result of that.
Maybe not quite,
She's blocked.
but
She can no
she
longer harass my friend.
well, time will tell, because what you're suggesting there, like, the only way people can end these situations is
Mhm.
if they have themselves, if you take control for yourself. So that means you find your own closure and you find your own validation. That means that's generally the only way these encounters will finally come to an end, when the victim, when the true discard comes from the victim, not the narcissist. The narcissist just suspends you in animation. So you might be blocked for now.
So you think she's gonna try? What? Okay, so if we're calling her a narcissist, would this be the Hoover? Is she gonna try to Hoover her again? You think?
Prior to the Hoover, this is more. This sounds like it resembles more like a reverse Hoover.
What the
It's
fuck is that?
so you understand the Hoover, right? So to bait someone, to suck them in, to suck in the victim. So the reverse Hoover is where the victim reaches out to the narcissist, and the victim starts saying, "Hey, why aren't you answering my emails? Or why isn't you're not standing here and fighting it out with me?" That's the reverse Hoover. It's where the victim sucks the narcissist in. It's playing hard to get. Now, if you've blocked her, or your elderly friend has blocked,
She blocked
now
me.
you're at a bit of a stalemate. But it doesn't mean the game is over as far as the narcissist is concerned. The game has just been suspended. The narcissist is going off doing, has other things to be doing with their time. They're not, there's 24 hours in a day. They're not dedicating it solely for your friend there or for you. That's your own grandiosity, thinking that you're so important that the narcissist is obsessed with you. No, it's reactive. It works. This is if we're talking about narcissism now. Okay, it's reactive with what's in front of it. What has the narcissist's attention? Square in its face. That which isn't square in its face, that it is looking at, it doesn't exist. So if you come up on the radar, you're now caught the attention. Okay, the narcissist focuses on you and has to exert control. But if you put a barricade there and said, "I've blocked you, no contact," or whatever, the narcissist will go, "Oh, this is a bit of a challenge." Something else pops up on their radar, let's say another target or something like that, then they'll just switch their sights onto the other person. No biggie, no problem. You could just be on hold. They got other things to deal with now. They've got a new target. Maybe the new target will play games with them. But they know in the back of their mind that they can go around. They can go around the harem, that the supply network, doing their rounds, and they can check in on you in the future at their leisure and be like, "I wonder if Mandy is up for fighting now," and they'll try and hoover at that point, and see whether or not you'll be on the radar of significance, of importance.
Emmanuel said, "Yeah, reminds me of the haha made you waste your energy. We used to play as kids. If you block, she wins." She blocked me, Emmanuel. And Billy's trying to convince me that she won, even though she's completely kicked out of the tribe.
In the mind of the narcissist, they always win. They can never lose. It's a zero-sum game.
Well, in her
their mind.
delusion, she can believe that.
That is where she lives, though.
Okay, that's fine. That's not the reality of everybody else in the tribe.
No, exactly. So it's almost like a separate game of semantics, almost. This is why it's like, if you try and go toe to toe with a narcissist, you will never really beat them. Because one, you're not really fighting a narcissist, you're fighting yourself. But that's a more philosophical, deeper paragraph I'll get into in a moment. But if you're fighting toe to toe with a narcissist will win. That is what it's there for. It's to survive, and their life, their psychological life depends on it. All is at stake for them. They can't afford to lose. It's a serious life-threatening game for them. You, on the other hand, not so much. So the stack of chips are against you. You can never beat the narcissist. What ends up, air quotes, like beating the narcissist is the narcissist themselves. And the way they beat themselves is by separating and detaching from reality. They lose because they don't participate in reality. They escape into the psychological death of delusion. You can't kill that which does not live. That is how they win. They transcend reality and the laws of nature and physics. They go into the spiritual afterlife, in effect. They live in purgatory, or whatever limbo it is. And for us, we would consider that losing. But for the narcissist, this is safety. You can't get me. There's nothing you can do to get me. I'm a ghost. I'm neither here nor there. I'm everywhere. Well, if you're everywhere, you're not solidified in any way. You're like a fart in the wind. You mean nothing. But the narcissist is like,
super
yes,
fat lesbian fart in the wind.
right. So it kind of, so this is why I said, like, it's semantic. It's like, define what you mean by winning. Does it count? Does escaping into illusion and the abyss and disintegrating, atomizing, does that count as winning? Because in a sense, the narcissist succeeded in their objective. They wanted this to happen. They want to be safe and protected. So they won.
If you say so, Billy.
Now the next question is, Billy, is it a zero-sum game or a giant game of chicken? In a way, it is a bit like a game of chicken. It depends. If you're caught in the trap where you think it matters that you must win, you must defeat the narcissist, then you're the fool. So then it becomes a game of chicken, because it's like, who's going to back down, and your stubbornness to accept that you'll never get a closure or validation from the narcissist is what keeps you, is the infection now infecting you. Now you're caught in the trap. Now you're playing the game. Now you won't let it go. Now you deny yourself your own life because you're obsessed with having to punish this narcissist, and it will never happen. So so for you, you've wasted the rest of your life hoping you're going to get some sort of justice, when what you're really doing is you're denying yourself justice by doing this. And that's why I'm saying that when you find yourself battling with the narcissist, you're not battling with the narcissist, you're battling with yourself, because it matters to you. When really, why are you trying to get validation from the narcissist? There's something wrong with you if that's what you're doing. Why is it you can't let go? Why is it you deny yourself the closure? Why is it you will sacrifice your life for this? Why is it you need this battle, this your self-esteem, some sort of acknowledgement or vindication. Why can't you do that for yourself? Why is it you don't know better? Why is it you can't accept it, grieve, let it go, and move on? Lots of different layers here. And that's why it's really a battle against yourself. And as long as you want to play this game with crazy bitches and narcissists and abusive people, that is the paradigm you are creating. You are setting up your own deathbed in this sense, or your own coffin or whatever. This is, you're setting up the grave for which you are going to lay in later on. And you're trying to blame it on the narcissist or the abuser for doing all this, for putting you through all this torment. Oh, I've got so much trauma. Oh, I'm such a victim at the hands of. Where is your responsibility? What you're doing is you're trying to make the narcissist responsible for your self-neglect. And that's why I'm saying you should only really know enough to be able to then go into the grieving process, accepting that you're never going to get an answer from them or a solution or resolution, and ghost and move on. But I know people are addicted. I am too. We like to know. We like to play these like games of like, let's analyze the crazy bitch today, you know, and we want a better understanding because it's interesting.
I mean, I tell people just to fucking block them. Period. Like, people want to understand them though.
Yeah.
And even telling them exactly what they're gonna do, what they are, like,
yeah,
it doesn't matter if people want to play with demons.
It creates a vacuum, and this is the trouble for most people. It's if your life was so filled with whatever it is, like activities, connections, people. If you were really in abundance of self, you wouldn't even need to consciously say to yourself, block them and push them aside and don't do, because you're so on purpose with living a fulfilled life anyway. You don't have room for parasites to try and take you away from that. That's why when you look at the crazy bitches and people who are do-laddie, wacko crazy, there's a tendency for those people to have a pretty mundane, unfulfilled, boring, mediocre life. They've got nothing. Like, haven't you got something better to do?
Which
No,
is
exactly.
strange because a lot of crazy bitches that I've come across online have fucking children that they're neglecting while they play their fuckery. Like, that's what I don't understand about that caliber. Like, you have so much better things you could be focusing on. Why the crazy bitchery? Like,
because it doesn't mean anything to, because these people all these bored empty media sitting on their ass complacent people, if they sat, if you looked at it, you'd be like, dude, my man, you got the world is your oyster. Why aren't you busy? You got all the time in the world to be doing something. You got all this, you live in a city or you live in the countryside. Why do you do this? It's like opportunity galore.
Yeah.
But it means nothing. You got children. It means nothing. There's, it's kind of going off into a different topic of like value and meaning and what matters to people. But if to try and kind of summarize, encapsulate it, it's like if you're so filled with shame, self-hate, and you don't think much of yourself, then you're not going to have any appreciation for the other things in life. Not just people, but just things in general. Like if you're spoilt all the time, like if it's Christmas every day, then Christmas is going to lose its value to you.
That's what I see a lot of these crazy bitches is
There's
super
no gratitude,
spoiled.
right? There's no they
Yes.
don't have they're not grateful for having children. You know,
Yeah, it's
so
kind of weird.
even if you kowtow to these crazy people, say, all right, you want kids, all right, I'll give you kids. You want a house, all right, I'll give you a house. You want money, I'll give you money. You want a car, there is no limit. Their addiction is insatiable. They just want more. The more you give them an inch, they take a mile. The more you give them, the grumpier they become because they become more entitled.
Mm.
So it's a sunk cost, Emmanuel, if you're there, sunk cost fallacy in a way, where the more you try and invest into that, making them happy, the crappier they get with their attitude.
Right. That's why I don't understand like the cancel culture police crazy bitches and people that submit to those. Like they'll throw out their fucking emotional fucking verbal diarrhea all over the place, and then the person will bend a knee and remove their content, and then they're not happy.
Well,
Like,
yeah, the people in most cases like that, that's fawning. They're just hoping, all right, like I got a screaming kid. How do I shut the screaming kid up? All right, here's an ice cream, here's a iPad, or here's a whatever, and they think they're negotiating or something like that with the kid. They're
you
bartering.
cannot negotiate with emotional terrorists, though.
So again, but who is making the error here? Is it the kid, or is it the people giving the enablers? It's the enablers,
Yeah.
right? So really, as much as we can say these crazy bitches are a problem and we need to get rid of them, it's not really the crazy bitches that's the problem. It's the people enabling them.
I know. I met a whole group of crazy bitches and enablers. It was a real big circle jerk today, Billy.
But in terms of being angry with the crazy bitches, for instance, in a way, like on one hand, yes, you have a right to be angry and frustrated. They are annoying. They are destructive and all the rest of it. But because they've been allowed to. So what I'm saying, on the one hand, yes,
No,
you can
the
be
enablers made these fucking people.
right.
Yeah. And encourage them constantly.
Yeah. And they promote it.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, in a way, and this isn't to excuse them, this is just to better understand them. But
the enablers?
No, the crazy bitches.
Oh.
They're by definition of name, what are they? They're a crazy bitch. Do you really expect a crazy bitch to be nice to you? Or to play fair, or to be kind? No. Because then they wouldn't be called a crazy bitch then, would they?
Nope.
So don't be so dumbfounded or like, oh, I have no idea why they're being a crazy bitch. It's like, duh, because they're called a crazy bitch. That's why they're a crazy bitch. Right.
By the way, hello, Penguin. Good to see you. Tom. Yeah, Emmanuel said, yeah, being on your purpose and living a fulfilling life is a natural defense against narcissists. Yeah, it was actually my last hair appointment today that I had. She's somebody I've known her for like 12 years-ish. 12 years. And she was kind of talking about this girl that she had to fire at work. She didn't give her a lot of leeway, but how somebody that works under her was complaining to her like, oh, you should have given her another chance. And she's like, no, she's just incompetent. 3 strikes, you're out. Like, and like, that's the kind of person that she is. And I was trying to ask her like today along the lines of, because I was explaining to her these fucking love and light cults, these tarot card readers, all these old ass crazy bitch, because they're literally her age. I'm like, what is it about these women that is so, I guess, attractive to these younger women? Like, why do these younger women listen to these people? And we were trying to like kind of figure out why these young women are seeking guidance from that realm, I guess. And she
Okay.
pretty much says it's probably like their upbringing, their parents. Because like when she was younger, she's like, yeah, I would never listen to any, like if I want advice and guidance, I'm gonna go to somebody who knows more than me. Like iron sharpens iron. I'm like, yes, but it's not their mindset. I don't understand their mindset. She's like, yeah, I don't either. Like, she's like, but my dad was in the military and our family was very disciplined, and my mom wasn't the, oh, let me, cater to you. She's like, I see that with one of my nieces. My sister's kid is doing that to her children. She's like, and it's almost like within her family, like I guess her sister thought it was too harsh, so she was going to be nicer, so she went on the opposite direction, and now she's got a spoiled little fucking brat.
Yeah.
It's one of these people that would go to the tarot card reader and
Yeah.
be like, oh, here, let me pay you to lie to me. Like,
Yeah. I don't know if you realize that you kind of answered your own curiosity there.
yeah, no, I mean, it was a fun conversation. Like, I mean, it's just better mothers, I guess.
I'll
Ultimately
recontextualize
solve
it.
this.
So when you got kids,
Mm,
to make this a bit dichotomous, either you're going to teach a kid how to be self-sustaining,
mhm,
or you're going to teach a kid how to be dependent.
mhm,
So those who are able to problem solve and make decisions for themselves and have independence,
mhm.
they will be less inclined to get suckered into the false promises of love and light.
Yes. Yeah.
So that's why they're
Failure
getting
of the mother.
upbringing in general. The
Yeah.
kid, whatever reason, like if it's the mother, father, society, the peers, or whatever, the kid hasn't learned how to fix their own problems, how to do things for themselves, how to have independence, and with all of that will come like the reassurance, self-esteem, the confidence, character building, personality building, and all this. This will fortify a person. This is what gives them their personality and things like that. Take all that away. Now you've got someone who's a baby. They need help.
Yeah, that's what
So
Emmanuel said.
love and light. It's not just
Yeah.
love and light. It's sorry to get offended when I say this, but even things like religion.
Oh no, this crazy bitch is like literally saying Biden's the anointed one, and she
Right.
lives by the true word of God, even
So
though she's a fat lesbian that never had any children.
if you just remember false promise,
Yeah.
you will see this in loads of stuff. Advertising works like this. Buy
Mm.
now and you can have the dream car or whatever. Get just take out a loan. Just take out a loan and you can have this. That's a false promise.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's very powerful, and it's in many forms. Religion, love and light, all these SJW. Feminism is a false promise, essentially.
Yes. It's an antichrist.
Oh, join our group and feel empowered. We will save you. We will protect you. We are the ones. We are the elites. We have
Yeah.
status.
Yeah.
All of this. Politicians, vote for me. Why?
Yeah.
Because I'm making you a false promise. Now, people who are independent, who create their own destiny, who carve their own path in life, they don't need false promises because this is going to sound corny, because they are the promise. You know, they don't need faith in a way. They don't need belief because they believe in themselves. They rely on themselves and not on the whimsical words of other people. They got life in their hands. You needed some like motivational music in the background just then.
Penguin said they mistake arrogance for strength. Yeah, they love to fake it till they make it. Which I was like, why would you do that? I never understood. I've heard so many people in my industry say that exact line. I'm like, no, you can't fake good hair. You just can't.
Yeah, I made this kind of argument when I was hearing about, oh, we need to teach confidence to people, and I was like, bullshit. Why are you trying to make people chase? Because confidence, if you're not careful, will be like arrogance. Like Peng, is it Peng who said that arrogance comment?
Yeah,
He
they
made,
mistake arrogance for
yeah,
strength.
so like confidence can easily become arrogance, because if you're chasing confidence, then you're not really confident, are you?
Well, it's like, okay, Billy, I see how insecure these crazy bitches are, and I offer to help sharpen their confidence. Like, I'm like, come battle me. Like, you want to battle somebody, here you are picking on this little old lady. I'll battle with you.
Yeah, but what you're doing
And
is
if they actually win, it would really build their confidence.
right,
I don't
but
think they realize how just the engagement would
it's,
make less crazy.
it's very important the order of process, because as you just said, you're trying to get them to battle to then get the confidence. You're not saying I want you to have confidence first and then battle. So what you're doing is, what you're inferring is that put in the work, get the experience, and then confidence will be following you. You can't be confident if you've got no body of work to show for. So confidence in a way is your shadow. It's behind you, pushing you forwards. It's not in front of you, pulling you along. Because if you've got confidence in front of you, pulling you along, that's arrogance pulling you along.
Mm.
Confidence is in the back seat. It's not in the driver's seat. Who is in the driver's seat? You are. You are more important in a way than your confidence is. And in that sense, you won't even need to really think of like, oh, am I confident or not? It's almost irrelevant. It just comes as a byproduct of your being, of your way of existence. You display confidence because you have built confidence within you. I hope that makes sense.
It just amazes me every time I see it. Oh, Hank said, it amazes me that the least qualified to give advice are always the most eager to give it. Yeah.
Yeah, I've got no qualifications.
Arguing with a genuine fool makes you want to, unfortunately, disengage and ignore. I mean, that's usually what... It's usually what...
Yeah, JC's got
the
a
same
comment.
people know. True confidence is a reflection of our competence.
So the competence component, in a way, is more valuable. It's far more valuable and important than the confidence. The confidence is kind of just like a fucking shiny medal. Oh, look, it's like you don't need a medal, really. You don't need the virtue signaling of, oh, I have confidence. It's like, yeah, whatever.
Yeah, you don't need the virtue signal, but you need to be able to answer a question like, hey, you think you can do this thing? And be like, yeah, I can do that.
Yeah,
if you're actually confident. Like,
but that comes from the sense of security of knowing yourself and what you are capable of. That's why you're confident, because you might be in a situation like a brand new situation you've never experienced, but because you can trust in yourself, you have the confidence that you can approach new situations and deal with them.
Emmanuel's in 1984. Arrogance is strength, obesity is health, rudeness is assertiveness, up is down.
Yeah, the up and down clown world switcheroo. People observe it, but I don't think they quite fully understand or appreciate what they are touching on. It's not like some, oh, isn't this
I'm
a
going to
funny
grab some more
quirk?
tea, Billy.
Sure, that's all right. This inversion isn't some sort of like, oh, isn't that a funny thing happening? Like as if a random quirk or something. No, this is we have to go back to the start of the conversation. It's about emotional needs and securing your survival and your safety. So in a like in brackets, to win the game of life. Now, if you can't win the game of life by doing what is in this case like up, if you can't play the game of up and win, then you're going to have to make the game down and win that way. That's why there is an inversion, because if you can't if you can't win at reality, what's the alternative? Then you must win at fantasy. If you can't win by being nice to people, then you're going to have to be mean to people. That's why it's such a polar opposite. It's not an accident. It's not a coincidence. It's a functionality derived from the need of trying to survive. That is what you're seeing. This clown world is people trying to survive, and they can't survive by legit, air quote, normal ways, by meritocracy. So they have to do the opposite. They have to invert it and turn it into clown world. That is how they can win and then survive. And so this is also why you see what we would perceive as the assault on reality of taking down the structures and the standards and etiquettes and the rules of social interaction, or whatever kind of nook and cranny of society and culture we see, and we see it being messed around with, because each of these little nooks and crannies are tied to reality. They therefore must be taken down. They must be infiltrated, infected, perverted, inverted, or corrupted, inverted, and flipped around, re-augmentated, messed around with. And you'll also notice it'll be the sectors of society, the fabrics of society, which are susceptible to being malleable or reconstruct or reconstituted, which are open to people's opinion, like freedom of speech and stuff like that, are weaponized in such a way that it facilitates this inversion to take place. To such an extent, it affects the minds of people, and now traditional values, as an example, is looked with contempt, and instead you're supposed to embrace the more debauchery kind of radical way of thinking that has become the air quote the new norm, or the Great Reset. Now, in the beginning, this will probably succeed. Fantasy will probably, in the beginning, get its way. It will try to destroy everything. But fantasy is dependent upon reality, like it or lump it. So this is why it becomes self-defeating, which is another thing that we see. The collapse of society and this argument being self-defeating is because fantasy is trying to take way more than is tolerable until there is nothing left but fantasy, at which point it suffocates itself because there is nothing to support it. If everyone is a vampire, and if everyone is a predator, then and there's no more victims left, then the predators die out. So we will see fantasy having the upper hand, which we probably already can agree so far. This is what is we could argue is taking place, that to such an extent that people can say up is down and there's a clown world. But it will never win. The narcissist will never win. Even though I said earlier the narcissist will always win, they'll always win in fantasy, but in the terms of reality, they are destined to fail. They lost long ago. That's why they became narcissists. They were unable to cope with reality. So fantasy isn't self-sustaining and will collapse over time. We might not be around when that happens, but the point I'm making is that reality, when push comes to shove, will be the resilient landscape. Reality can work independently, but and reality caters for fantasy. But when fantasy gets out of hand, is spoilt like the petulant child, it cannot live on its own.
Well,
And it's also
enablers there to cater to them.
what? Sorry, what was the first bit you said there? Something about cater to them.
Good thing they have the enablers there to cater to them.
Right, and they need the enablers to be functioning within. Well, they kind of need them to transverse between reality and fantasy, but they need the resources from reality. So they need the enablers to have some stability. Otherwise, enablers can't do their job properly.
Yeah, I met an enabler today.
This is one of the kind of, I don't know if it'd be like an Achilles heel or whatever, but dilemma for a narcissist is when they get into a relationship, they need that partner to be, number one, functionable. No good having a fuel source or a supply source or an enabler who is dysfunctional to such an extent they become a liability. The narcissist isn't there to support the enabler. It's the other way around. So they need the enabler to have, to some degree, health. They can't have it. They don't want the enabler to have good health, because then the narcissist can't infect them, can't penetrate them, can't manipulate them, because the boundaries would be there. So they need someone who is vulnerable, but not so vulnerable that they're a liability. So it's it's a dodgy game that the narcissist plays when they have intimate partners and their networks. The conditions and parameters need to be just so to facilitate their narrative and delusion. And that's another reason why these crazy bitches are always frantic, always on edge, always anxiety, always scared, always worried, always neurotic, always feel under threat and they can't trust their environment and all the rest of it, because they really are multitasking to the max.
Mm.
And we see how people are nowadays with the rise in technology and the interconnections and the craziness going on. Their days are numbered. The only way they can really cope nowadays is to become more batshit crazy. Now, to us, from our perspective, that's like, well, that's insanity on steroids, and yes, it is. But to them, it's sheer desperation at that point. They're running out of options.
Mm-hmm.
So what options do they have left? It's to if their goal is to captivate audience and the attention of people, even if it's to be ridiculed and laughed at, then they have to kind of go full steam, go full retard. Become totally diabolical and offensive and disgusting and gross and obscene. It doesn't bother them, it bothers us. Perfect. The more it bothers us and aggravates us, the more we're invested, even if it's in our disapproval. That's good enough. Well, the narcissist believe that's good enough, but it's a bottomless pit. So the anti will just have to. How do you outdo being the most despicable, vile creature on earth? I don't know, but they get creative. Whatever. I don't know what they'll do, but you get the idea, because it's self-defeating. So the real kind of message to the world, in a way, is just be mindful that you don't get too sucked into it, because that's the trap they're trying to set you up with. The drama sphere and all this is the trap. It's the arena for the exchange to take place. That is where you make the transaction, or where you sell your soul, where you fool yourself into thinking that there must be something of importance going on here. So I have to keep tabs. I have to keep check. I have to be up to date with the news and the gossip. That's the mistake. Because biologically, things that are out of the normal, our own survival defenses pays attention to that. We're making an assessment. We're trying to figure out on a threat assessment scale, like, what if everyone is so interested in the drama, there must be something I am missing. That puts me at a disadvantage. So for my own survival, I need to know just as much as everyone else what this drama that's taking place is all about. So our own survival system can get hijacked if we're not careful. And even if we say, oh, I ain't part of the drama sphere or something like that, you have been to some extent compromised. Especially if you're peeking in and trying to keep up to date with it all. And especially if you've got it's almost like give you a slap across the face. If you turn around and say to me, this is all a load of bollocks, I don't even know why I'm listening to all of it, then what the fuck? Well, then why are you listening to it? It's like, I don't know, there's something wrong with me. Well, at least you've got enough awareness to realize you've got something wrong with you, then course correct at that point, or detach, desensitize, reduce your exposure, because you're becoming addicted, you're becoming conditioned, you're becoming normalized to it. You're just like, yeah, they're crazy. They're just crazy bitches. They're everywhere. That's the wrong reaction you should be having. It's to some extent it is healthy to have to recoil from disgust, like toxic, like vomit, diarrhea, you know,
Yeah.
shit like that. Yeah, you know, because why? Because bacteria, because of biohazard, because of radiation or whatever. But if you're standing there like, oh yeah, vomit every day, no biggie, you know, I'll rub it on my face and my skin, like la da da, you know, showering and stuff because I'm so used to it. It means nothing to me. It's like, hello, McFly, something wrong with you.
Yeah.
Oh, but my immune system has built up a tolerance for it. It's like, no, you shouldn't have an immune system that's built the tolerance up to go against vomit and stomach acid, you know?
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
yeah, definitely, you know.
I feel like my immune system leads me to a very low tolerance for crazy bitchery. Like,
Well, yeah, but at the same time, you just like me with my fascination with narcissism, your fascination with like the crazy bitch, you know.
oh no, Billy, don't mistake anything. Crazy bitchery is an ideological infection from the feminist cult that needs a lot of attention. Like, it needs to be fucking stopped. Because it's infectious and it's contagious. And it's leading our society to its destruction.
Yeah, but you know that kind of that argument of like, if you're not careful, you become just as bad as they are, and you become your worst enemy, and all this sort of stuff. So,
okay, well, I have many people in my life that keep tabs on my crazy bitch elevations.
yeah, and it's good to like checks and balances and stuff.
Yes.
For me personally, like INFJ, you as well because you're an INTJ, but we both deal with a lot of fantasy and imagery. So I like to visualize a lifeline, a tether to reality. So I could go exploring the crazy landscape of the narcissist, like I'm in outer space or something. But I've always got a tether that I can find my way home. So I don't end up becoming lost in space. Because I was going to say this at the start, I kind of said it in a way which was like, if you were to actually understand how all this craziness fits together, then you yourself must also be crazy for it to make sense. So similarly, in saying that, if you really want to understand how this makes sense, you have to abandon your sense of self. You have to forget you exist. This is going to be like esoterical talk now. You have to abandon yourself because the reason being is that your sense of self is tied to reality. You want to know what they're thinking and how they feel, then you have to step out. You have to step out of reality.
I don't care how they feel.
Well, that's fine.
I know you're talking about other people.
Yeah.
Okay.
And myself to a large extent. For me to be like, how the hell did he? Sorry.
You care how they feel?
Well,
you care more than I do.
like empathy is a bit of a bitch, you know. So it's like I'm trying to imagine. Like I try to
Is
figure.
that empathy though?
Well, it's well, no, it's not true because as much as I can simulate is essentially what I'm doing. I'm running simulations. That's how the INFJ, we run simulations over and over again. We live parallel scenarios. What if this happened? What if that happened? What about this? What about that? And we run the simulation again and again and again. So if we're imagining the future in a way where we are imagining multiple futures, We are living the same kind of experience over and over again. And we're refining that with introverted intuition, we're refining it down to through probability of what is the most likely outcome. So it's a process of elimination. But the idea of running simulation after simulation. So to get a better understanding, what I'm saying is basically, if you wanted to get like an understanding of how someone else is thinking, it's not like I say, it's not an accurate prediction. You won't know for certain. But if you want to have a pretty good idea, then you're going to have to step out of your own head and go inside theirs. You have to live like they do in a way. You have to see with their eyes. You can't do that if you're in your own driving seat. So you have to. So normally we would say to people to build a sense of self. Here I am saying to abandon your sense of self, to abandon your own ego in order to know what they're doing.
I don't think that's the
Right.
solution.
No, what I'm describing here is a dangerous game. And that's why I'm saying it's important to have a tether to come back. Otherwise, you're lost. Otherwise, you now become infected.
Yeah, I don't do all that. I know you said like I might do that. I don't do all that visualization shit.
Well,
I think you're way more imaginative than I could ever be. I like to visually watch my fantasy via the television. I can't just go there in my mind.
yeah. Well, maybe that's an INFJ thing, to be honest.
Maybe.
But the reason why I'm saying that is it's an effective, at least for myself, an effective way of understanding is because, like I said before, when most people try and understand, they do it from their base of perspective, from their sense of reality, from your standards. You're going to expect, why are these crazy bitches not being morally correct, and why are they doing as they feel like?
I know why they do it. It's because they get away with it, and people enable them. If that stopped, they would change their behavior.
But the fact that you're asking that kind of question,
No, if it took them behaving properly to eat and live, they would change their fucking behavior. They get away with it, though. They get rewarded for being crazy bitches. So they do that more. That's why they get crazier.
yeah, but there's still an expectation on your end that they shouldn't be doing that.
Yes.
That they should be following your rules of reality.
No. The rules of reality, where people don't coddle and treat adults like children.
Or even then, the rules of objective reality. Still, there is your frame of reference. A compare and contrast.
I guess based on my lived experience and my normalcy bias, like, yeah.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying is because of that bias, it can get in the way of having a better, of having a more complex and deeper understanding of what is taking place.
I understand what's taking place, Billy. You're trying to make it way deeper and more complex than it actually is, because you're like psychology filled people make excuses for these crazy bitches. Like, it's not like, you're right when you say it's a survival strategy type thing, because it is. They do this shit to survive because it gets them rewards.
Yeah, but at the very beginning, you were like, what made her feel entitled to prey on or target your elderly friend?
No, I just don't understand. Yeah, like why she thinks that's fucking appropriate.
Yeah.
She thinks it's appropriate because nobody's told her to knock it the fuck off before. And nobody's made her knock it the fuck off before.
Yeah. I mean, we're going a little bit of a circle here, but I mean, the fact that you're asking that question, like, what makes her think it's appropriate?
That's a rhetorical question, though.
It's like double speak for saying, like, she shouldn't be doing that.
No, she shouldn't be doing that.
Now, I'm not saying that she should. I mean, I agree with you, like, she shouldn't be doing that, but I'm just I'm just saying that because your rules of understanding.
My tribe's rules of understanding. The women in my life that operate with integrity's rules of understanding.
Yeah. So I'm just saying, like, if you wanted to get a kind of the other point of view for more balanced or, you know, their side of the story, then you need to step into their head, which is a dangerous game and it's a dangerous place.
And how do you know that? How do you know that's what's going on in their head?
I don't, but this is what I'm saying is
this is an assumption, right?
This is running simulation after simulation after simulation.
Yeah. Like, have you ever watched a crazy bitch in action over like a 20-year period?
Well, I always remind myself of like core tenets in a way. Like, you can't predict the unpredictable. So no matter how much I might like to think I've nailed them, I know already that no, that's not true. You know, this is why I kind of find it funny with conspiracy theorists, because they'll say something like, they'll bring up a movie, but like, this movie predict, like, I don't know, 2012 or whatever. Oh, this movie predicted. It's like, no, it didn't. It just, think about it. You got all these storylines. The just probability one of them is gonna foresee, not foresee, but you know, coincidence. Like I don't know, there's this argument with Star Trek having developed a lot of technology, like they were pioneers. It's like, not really, yeah. Or Blade Runner or something like that. It's like, not really. It's just a sci-fi. It's just people's imagination. Inventions come from people's imaginations. So it's not really a surprise. This isn't like some conspiracy thing or prophecy. Yeah.
Hello, Chaos, by the way. Good to see you.
I mean, that's another element that people like myself try to stay mindful of, is attributing things, making connections that don't belong or that aren't there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So there's a lot of kind of like a big question about all of this is, to what extent? How far do you want to go with this?
With what?
Just whatever, like, do you, with your understanding, or with your theorizing, or with your psychobabble, with whatever it is, angle, like, how far of what does it matter of significance? Because at that point it becomes like an occupation.
Manuel said, I think your simplistic analysis, GM, works in an environment where you can assume most people are sane or easy to redeem. It works in a normal world. Maybe.
I mean, if you like things, I despite how it seems, I like things to be simple too. But
are you sure, Billy?
well, that's what all this talky stuff is trying to coalesce, concentrate into something, you know,
a solution.
Something
Because
profound.
you always say there's no solution, really. They've won, but they haven't won, because in the end they're going to die alone.
The solution is in the no solution.
Right.
The solution is in not having a solution.
And that's the psychology field mode of operating, right?
Is it? I don't know.
I think it is. I don't see many people actually sorting anything out.
I know that I don't know.
I don't know. I'm losing faith in the field as a whole as being a force for good. I don't think the men in it can combat what they're up against.
No, I mean, psychology will always be on the back foot. It can't, because it has to make observations and studies after the event, after the fact.
But it's literally as a whole making people crazier.
Oh, well, that side of, I mean, there's a lot of bad players. There's a lot of I mean, people can argue that I'm making things worse. And maybe they're right to some extent. But I would like to sort of, on the basis of like good faith, I like to give psychology. Sorry, I've got the hiccups now. Cut it a little bit of slack, because what else do you have in its place to help people understand the human mind? Not much. You've got religion, you've got philosophy, maybe, but given that it's ill-equipped, it's encountering new phenomena and behaviors, and it's trying to keep up with the ever-changing, rapid changes.
It's spreading ideological infection is what it's doing.
It's good and bad. It comes with both. So what I think we need really is an additional tool to help filter or
Nope. You cut off, Billy. JC says the only solutions are within ourselves and the choices we make. Our real influence on the world outside of ourselves is usually very minimal. I mean, you guys have more influence on the world than you give yourself credit for. I can't hear anything, Billy. Did you mute your mic? If deep state penguin, you mean the feminist cult, then yes. Yes, I agree. Yes, the feminist cult definitely got him. Back to my religious beliefs. I've been proselytizing with everybody I can talk to about religion. The two beasts in Revelations, the beast from the sea is the feminist cult. The beast from the land is the psychology field. I think Billy's having a connection issue. Men can combat it. We just need to create an environment that doesn't send them to jail for creating order. Disempower the simps and the feminists. Yeah. Yeah, the white knights are quite problematic, aren't they? Make simping a felony? Well, you have to be very clear about what a simp is then. Because I see a lot of different people using that word. It's a pejorative. People say that men that come here and participate in the conversations that we have are simps. So if you left it up to the crazy bitches, you guys would be put in prison for committing felonies. Hello, D-Dog. Good to see you. Jasmine. Jasmine T. Dragon Balls, actually. Yeah, these ones are cool. They come in little balls. Billy just had a power cut. Yeah, order is the enemy. I don't know, what's is it? Oh, that's a good before bed tea. So in the psychology realm, they call that a codependent. Mamalo will fix it. Oh, man. So I heard that BLM was not, like, those black fat lesbians aren't going to support Kamala. Is that true? I know all the crazy bitch lesbians I know are supporting her. All of them. You there, Billy? Your avatar isn't there. And I can't hear anything.
Ground control to Major GM.
Yeah?
Can you hear me?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, right. I'm using my mobile.
Oh.
I had a power cut or something.
Is your power off?
I don't know. My PC's still like restarting.
Okay.
No, it's come back on.
Okay.
But the PC is still firing up. It's still restarting. But the hub. Otherwise, I wouldn't be able to use my phone because that would have no internet connection.
Okay. So what needs to happen with the psychology field?
I've never used my phone before, so union, it would need. This is the trouble. Like some form of gatekeeping.
Fire all the feminists.
Yeah, but the trouble is that the feminists are the ones imposing the gatekeeping. They're the one controlling the gates.
Oh yeah, the APA.
So what that would mean then, it would come to. It would come down to like what meets the rigors of the reality checklist. So that would also mean, in a way, we have to kind of have some sort of period of time where the feminists have their way and destroy everything. It's the same kind of. Hold on, I'm going to switch over to my PC.
Okay. I swear he just says shit like that just to get my goat. Let the feminists have their way and destroy everything. For some reason, submitting to demons, I'm just not okay with.
I'm back again. Yeah, so I'm sorry for the interruptions. You were saying?
I said, I swear you're just saying that shit to get my goat, because you know how I feel about submitting to demons.
Oh, well, yeah. So I was going to make a comparison to, you know how, like, letting these demons in managerial positions.
Mm-hmm.
And how we're now seeing the effects. So gradually there's a little bit of a pushback, and we can see when push comes to shove and reality does its checks, that the incompetence shows and the businesses fail and collapse. So it's kind of like the lesson is learned at the cost of all these failed businesses and the crash to the economy and, you know, the domino effect. So our generation might not appreciate it much, but the future generations can look back and be like, yeah, that was a stupid time of history. Why did we ever do that? So that might be the same kind of mindset with psychology, which is like, we might have to suffer and watch it collapse, watch it go off the rails, watch it do harm and damage, with the hope, in a way, that the future generations will look back and be like, what the fuck were they thinking?
No, the psychology field workforce is projected to increase 22% within the next 10 years.
Yeah, but that doesn't, like,
Do
that
you
just
know?
means
Do you know how many
more.
of those people are already trained and indoctrinated into this
Well,
feminist cult mentality?
it could be like a blessing in disguise then. If there's going to be more, like, it's like having extra female bosses. Okay, fine, have more female bosses. Fine, put the female in the military. You know, watch what
But
happens.
but these crazy bitches that get these degrees, they're not just in the psychology field. They get to work anywhere that requires a degree. So they're in our schools, they're in our government, they're all over the fucking place.
Yeah, but
In
you were
every
talking about,
single structure of our society.
yeah, but you're moving the goalpost there because you're talking about the psychology field. But yeah,
Yes, they have
wherever,
psychology degrees.
well, they're gonna fuck them up then.
They
Let it
have been
burn.
fucking.
Those with resilience and fortitude and whatever other means of survival will survive. Those who want to sign up with the psychology field and take direction from these crazy feminist bitches and go crazy as well, so be it. When in 10 years' time, when they're thinking with all their therapy and love and light up their ass and everything, and they're wondering why their life is in the turmoils, that's on them.
Meanwhile, they have the power and authority to fuck up other people's lives too.
Well, this sounds cold and callous, but to some extent, the victims have some responsibility. Why is it the rest of us can see through it and did the hard work and not get sucked in, and they did?
It's true. Not enough teaching of boundaries done by the mothers, I think.
Yeah, I mean, even people like, I don't want to make it sound like sides or anything, but and it's very presumptuous and egotistical to say like as if we're uh, uh, faultless in any way, kind of thing, like we're perfect and healthy, But even our side struggles to understand um, some of the like what are boundaries, what is empathy, what is confidence we were talking about earlier. But at least on our side, we have these types of conversations and we can work, we're working it out, we're working through we're growing. They don't want to grow. They might speak about boundaries, they might speak about empathy and stuff like that, but we already know this anyway, they toxify it, they bastardize it, they make things worse. They're not doing any growing there, they're weaponizing it. And over time, longevity, reality will sort out the wheat from the crop, or whatever, the mice from the men.
Adapt and overcome some things you can't change.
And if there's any, if you want something like hopeism to help give you a bit of faith or something, you can always remind yourself that reality favors authenticity, that which is true, right? So fake gold, fake it till you make it, disingenuous, and all this other stuff ain't gonna work in the long run.
Right.
That's why the unhealthy people are very fixated on appearance. They have no real substance behind them. They're hollow, they're empty, they're full of shit. That's the difference between true virtue and virtue signaling. Or a true alpha and um, they try to speak it into existence. Or someone peacocking, a true alpha and someone who's peacocking. Or there's many kind of like a real parent and a virtue signaling parent or something.
Yeah, it just amazes me how hard it is for some people to say no. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, because they have to say no to themselves first. It is hard. It gets easier.
Like, I met a lady today that started a business because during the lockdown she worked for corporate, and now she's has this business where she's kind of playing mommy to a lot of people. And they're destroying her business. And I'm like,
Hopia. Did I say hopeism or something like that?
yeah.
I said hope. Yeah, I apologize. My kid she's been messing up. Like her English and sentence structure is adorable, but it's messing me up. What did she said something like, I want to not die or something like that. She was playing a computer game, so she's like, I want to not die, or it's like a huh? And then she'll say supernovia, and you should compassion yourself. It's like, okay. So yeah, discombobulated.
We have to keep in mind it takes all types. For there will be those of us who would say no and hold boundaries. There have to be people who don't. We always need the yes man to contrast the no's. Maybe. Maybe. There should be balance, though. There's more people saying yes than no.
I think we both will be responsibility.
Hello, Pseudo.
You know, sometimes you have a duty to say no.
Yeah.
Sometimes you have a duty to say yes. You have to permit some things.
Mm-hmm.
You know, but duty comes with having a responsibility.
Mm-hmm.
And that's another kind of thing you could tie in with that, like fantasy versus reality. With reality, you have the ability to have responsibility. Fantasy outsources responsibility.
I just realized it's 9 o'clock. It's 3 a.m. where you're at.
Yeah, but you know, whatever. I'm still drinking.
Oh. Well, I'm hungry.
So do you want to conclude?
Yes. Tell crazy bitches no. Kick them out. No contact. No contact. Don't submit to the demons. If you do, you're literally making it worse for everybody else in society and yourself.
Yeah. Amen. The power. Praise be Jesus. Lord have mercy. I send the devil. Be gone, evil one.
Good to see you too, JC. I hope you are well. I hope your channel's doing well. I tried to connect you and some other folks, so I hope you got that message.
Devil Dog. I saw a comment from Devil Dog about Philippines.
Yeah, he's going to the Philippines.
Devil Dog. My mom's from the Philippines. Whereabouts? What area?
Pseudo, good to see you.
Go Devil Dog. Go Baguio. Do some island hopping. But yeah, thanks GM for having me up and having a conversation.
Mm-hmm.
And everyone in the panel, have a good night.
Yes, good night, everybody. Oh, good. That's good to hear. Hello, Toms. We're about to end the stream, so welcome and goodbye. Freebird, good to see you. JR, Penguin, Emmanuel, we still need to touch base. We need to talk about some religious stuff. All right, everybody, have a good night.